As sirens wail in the distance, Sylvania Fruit World goes up in smoke once again. A fixture alongside the Princes Highway for more than half a century, the business is now in ruin after an arsonist broke in early this morning. It's the third time in less than 4 months the shop's been targeted. In April it was closed for 2 days after wooden pallets were doused in petrol and set alight. A fortnight later it was attacked with a Molotov cocktail, and overnight it appears the firebug returned to finish the job.
Maybe someone has got it in for the shop, or they're honest, you never know.
Around 15 employees are now out of work, while the store's owner decides whether to rebuild or move on. Either way, the landlord is convinced someone wants the small business shut down.
It does happen, unfortunate, and hope they catch the buggers.
Despite a thorough investigation, officers still haven't been able to identify the person responsible for the last fire. So this time they're hopeful they'll find enough evidence to finally make an arrest. Security cameras switched off in April are apparently now working. Police are reviewing the vision, but also appealing to the public to help catch the culprit.
We're looking for any information of anything people may have seen that may assist us in furthering the investigation.
Kate Creedon, NBN News.
Former rugby league star Richie Faoso has hit out at the NRL, claiming the competition has a massive drug problem. The 11-year veteran says he was so entangled in a battle with drugs during his playing career that he became violent towards others and contemplated taking his own life. Faoso is speaking out in the hope he can spare other players the same pain he's experienced.
When Richie Faoso made his NRL debut, he had never touched drugs. By the time his career finished, he was addicted to ice, cocaine and alcohol.
All the way through my career I took drugs. I took ice, I took whatever I could get my hand on, I smashed, you know. I was mostly pills and coke.
He was a powerhouse in his day, a wrecking ball that turned on itself. On bail, Faoso worries the NRL is ignoring what he believes is a deep-seated drugs culture in rugby league.
There's a massive drug problem in the NRL. Mate, I've considered taking my life, people's life. I just went through a dark stage. This
year alone has seen a host of stars embroiled in drugs-related controversies. But there's a common view that these events merely represent what's going on in society, not just the NRL.
I'm really comfortable that the NRL's got enough, and the clubs have got enough processes in place to handle that. You know, that's a problem for society.
The NRL says it conducts thousands of illicit drug tests each year and has never been more proactive in combating the issue.
All I can comment on is what I see, and you know, I don't see there being a problem around here.
Faoso is 5 months sober now, and he says a much better man.
2 medications taken by thousands of Australians are at the centre of a nationwide recall. Doctors fear lives could be at risk after the drugs were packaged in the wrong box.
They're common medications used for very different reasons. Now, the wrong drug in the wrong package has led to a national warning.
This is a potentially very dangerous mix-up. If somebody who was supposed to be receiving heparin to keep their blood thin was instead given lignocaine, firstly it wouldn't work, but secondly lignocaine when given into the vein directly can have effects on the heart function as well.
A recall for affected batches was issued after a home renal dialysis patient received a box of what they thought was heparin, but inside was actually the common anaesthetic medication lignocaine. The drug wasn't administered and authorities were then alerted.
Always, no matter what happens, there should be very rigorous checking of everything you do. And even if you're given a script by a doctor that's sent to a pharmacist and you get home, read it when it gets home, read the label and make sure it's exactly what you think you've been given that drug for.
Pfizer says it's launched a comprehensive review and initial investigations have ascertained this is likely an isolated incident with one pharmacy. The Therapeutic Goods Administration is urging anyone who uses heparin to inspect the contents and packaging. If there are any concerns, they need to return it for a replacement or refund.
We do need to get to the bottom of what's gone wrong here.
Vicky Jardim, NBN News.
A British tourist will appear in court next week charged with grooming what he allegedly thought was a teenage girl in an online undercover sting. The 34-year-old man was arrested in Sydney yesterday. Police allege he believed he was meeting up with a 13-year-old girl while visiting Australia. Melbourne scientists have developed a breakthrough technique in the treatment of chronic liver disease. They've begun creating mini livers using human tissue in a bid to eventually grow whole organs for transplant.
While it may look small, this in fact is a huge breakthrough.
To put it very simply, we're trying to grow human liver in the lab.
And this is the result so far, a mini liver organoid developed by doctors at the St Vincent's Institute in Melbourne.
We're putting together the key ingredients of the liver, and that allows us to understand how the liver develops, what happens when that goes awry.
Tissue is taken from a healthy liver. Those cells are then combined with fat cells and a gel which is made from liver tissue samples. That is then injected into a biodegradable scaffold which forms the mini liver. Doctors say they will be able to use them to screen medicines which could play a huge role in chemotherapy for cancer patients.
We can test those 5 drugs together or individually on your liver in a dish, and then we can say this doesn't work for you.
Liver disease currently affects around 30% of the population.
Liver disease deaths are going up like a rocket, and so when there are big advances like this made by innovative scientists, they're very welcome and they will help.
At the moment, 1/4 of